Okay, welcome back students. That in the last presentation that we are discussing about the problem of ambiguity in multiple inheritance. Okay, so here is the problem that we have discussed in the last lecture, that when we try to call a member function from base class using derived class object, then your compiler will be in ambiguity because compiler will have no clear information from which base class compiler need to call this function, because in this example we have used multiple base classes and multiple base classes have a same function have a function with same name. So there will be the issue, we called it ambiguity. So now in this lecture we're going to find how to resolve this ambiguity. Okay, then next solution, then let's try to find the solution how to handle ambiguity here. So this is the very same class that we have discussed during the ambiguity problem. So again I'm using these two classes as base 1 and base 2. USB device will be act as a base 1 and USB 2 network device will be act as a second base class. And what we are doing, we are inheriting the wireless adapter class from USB class and from network device class. And we are following the same rules here. We need to follow the initialization of constructor in an order. Here USB is the first, so USB constructor get called first, and network is second, so network constructor gets called second part of the constructor calling. So now issue we found that previously when you try to call the get id method from any of its base class using derived class object, it's raise an ambiguity. Then here we introduce the solution. What is the solution? Now look at this line again, because this line previously raised the compile time error. Okay, so look at this here. Here we did not call the get id directly. We mentioned a name of the class, name of the base class here. Okay, name of the base class. Okay, name of the base class. Okay, so here we telling the compiler, please call get id from USB device class. Okay, so we are using here scope resolution operator and name of the base class from which base class version we need to call. Okay, I hope the idea is clear. So this was our previous diagram that we are using to understand this function call. Here we have USB class and we have network class, and last we have the wireless adapter class, which is inherited from both these classes, from USB and network. And USB also had a function called id, get id. Okay, and similarly network class also had a function called get id. So by writing this way, how? Derived class object dot from which base class you want to access the function, mention the name of the class followed by the scope resolution operator, and then which function you want to call. So here is specifying from USB device. So that means now derived class object going to call the function from USB class. Okay, so this is the way that we can resolve the ambiguity, and this is the problem actually we want to introduce while we are discussing or while we want to use multiple base class inheritance. This is the problem. Okay, and here is the solution. You should remember explicit name specification we should provide. We should provide fully qualified name with the help of class name and scope resolution operator to resolve this issue. Okay, let's see the ambiguity in can become more difficult in multiple inheritance. Things will be more complex for multiple inheritance, more complex when your class inherits from 4 or 6 base classes. Suppose that this is the base classes we have: base class 1, base class 2, base class 3, base class 4, base class 5, and base class 6. So we have 6 base class. It can be many. There is a no limitation. It can be many. And what we are doing, we are inheriting a single class from all of these classes. Okay, from all of these classes we are inheriting. So now suppose that out of these 6 classes, these two, this one and these two have a function called say fun, or say fun f1 is a function, is available in this class, this class, this class, and in these two. Now you try to do what? You are using the derived class object, okay, to call this fun one. So sorry, to f1. So it will lead to what? It will lead to the problem that we have just discussed called ambiguity. Okay. So to resolve this issue, we need to use explicit class name. Okay, explicit function name using the class name object dot f1. Sorry, before f1 we should use the name of the class. Suppose we are using here base 1 name of the class till base 6. Okay, so we need to use explicit class name. Suppose I am writing base 6, and we need to use scope resolution operator and then the name of the function that I need to call. So things will be more difficult for you when we have more than 4, 5, 6 classes while inheriting a derived class. So you should remember the ambiguity situation here. Okay, this will be the more hectic job for you. Next, the next problem, the potential name conflict increases exponentially. Definitely, when we have more than one base classes, this can be the issue. Name conflict increases exponentially. As you inherit more classes, and each of these naming conflicts needs to be resolved explicitly. Now it is only your job. Compiler will not going to help you in this respect. Okay, you need to perform this explicit resolve by using scope resolution operator. So this is the thing about multiple inheritance. This is the problem you should remember. We called it ambiguity. Okay, so this is all about multiple inheritance. In the next lecture, we're going to introduce another part of the inheritance, and this will be the, I think, last part of your module 4. We called it virtual base class inheritance. We're going to discuss about virtual base class. Okay, thank you very much.